Well met, ladies and gentlemen of the internet, and welcome to another beautiful day here in Burbank, California. As the sun rises, so does the dawn of a new day of StarCraft come to us as we reap the blessings of Blizzard Entertainment. I'm Nathanius, joined by Cats, and that's right, it's time for Group C, C as in Cats. Cats, tell me about your group today. How are you feeling?
I am feeling great. I mean, we have a lot of really cool players here, really good players as well. Old friends, many of these guys have been in the scene for a long time. Biggest lips in the scene are present today.
Don't get too excited, of course. We'll get to those lips later, as we do want to talk about the tournament format for those of you who may be new here, of course. It's Challenger. We had 16 players spread across 4 groups for Europe and America, and we're going to be getting through 5 best-of-3s to see who's going to make it to the top 8. And then in a few weeks' time, the top 8 will play out in the StarCraft equivalent of a battle royale. One big bracket where they will all kill each other trying to get money. And the money is right here. $1,600 to first place, WCS points. And if you think to yourself, Nathan, that doesn't look like a lot of money, well, don't worry. You'll be very upset when one of your favorite players doesn't make it to BlizzCon because they lost on these 200 points. So with that being said, we do have a wonderful Group C for Cacophony, and it is fantastic. That's right. We're going to take a look at our matches. Speaking of those big flaming lips, we've got Hearthstone going up against sort of, but that's our second match, so don't get too excited. Or get excited, because the guy with the biggest arms in StarCraft is playing in our first match today. That's right. ShoWTimE will be going up against Namshar. And, you know, Namshar, he's got a little bit of, like, soccer player strength, but he's not quite jacked, Cats.
Yeah, I was trying to look for the outstanding qualities in that picture, and Namshar is just the guy that looks the most serious. He's ready.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that the little bit less mass, do you think he could run away from ShoWTimE if they had to fight?
I think that, no. ShoWTimE's hype videos is him running.
Too?
Yeah, no, him running is his hype videos. That's what he does, yeah.
It's terrifying.
You cannot escape it.
Don't mess with ShoWTimE, except maybe in StarCraft, where he can't use his giant muscles or his fast legs to crush you, to literally crush you.
Yeah.
It's PvZ starting off on Thunderbird. I think we're going to get into this one pretty soon. The lobby is ready to go. Today is day 3 of 4 for Challenger, so just so everybody knows, we have one more day tomorrow. We'll be live at this exact same time. Well, not literally. Actually, yes. No, literally this exact same time at 6:59. And yeah, we've also got America Group C coming up later today.
That's going to be fun as well.
Fantastic.
They have been. The America groups have been quite something, so I'm really looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, this is the only Europe group with no Terrans, I believe.
Oh.
So you guys will be able to, you can just save all the wine for the second half of today's show. It'll be great, we promise. We are loading in to Thunderbird to kick things off. My body is so, well, I'm still waking up, but I'm so excited, Cats.
Same. And spawning in the top left hand side of the map. It is the red Cirque player, Namshar. Christopher Kolmodin. Kolmodin?
Christopher. He's got two F's. God, leave some for the rest of us. He's taking all the letters in his name. His opponent in the bottom right, who's taking all the protein in Europe, he is ShoWTimE. He's made a lot of money playing StarCraft, by the way.
He sure has. And there's more to come as well. He is a very powerful player. He actually defeated Stats. He was the only player to defeat Stats, was he? Or in the last event? In Asus?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so. And if he wasn't, he was the most important one to defeat Stats.
Yeah. And even if he didn't, if he did, he would be the most important to have done it, regardless.
Regardless. Yeah.
So, yeah. If he were to have defeated Cyril, he would have been the most important one to have done it as well.
Absolutely. So we have the Thunderbird. It is a peculiar bird.
Do you think that this map is just kind of like a blue Zapdos, right? Because the map is blue. How many Thunderbirds do you know of?
Just Zapdos, to be honest.
Yeah, that's about the only thing that comes to mind.
I'm gonna have to think on this. I feel like
maybe Lugia can use some electric moves, but I don't actually know. I wouldn't call it a Thunderbird, though.
Definitely not. No, Zapdos has to be it. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. In the non-Pokemon world, there's like no Thunderbirds at all.
Not that I'm really aware of, no.
I only know of the one dragon in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unless...
You know, I don't think it uses thunder. It's kind of. I mean, it's an energy beam, right? They usually just go generic energy beams. I don't really know that that gives us enough. We'll have to ask someone for the chemical composition or the electrical composition, as it were, of.
Is Zapdos a Thunderbird or a Lightning Bird, though?
Don't those two go hand in hand?
They kind of go hand in hand.
Thor, God of Thunder, summons lightning, right?
Right.
So. I'm just saying.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess one comes with the other.
I mean, if you could summon lightning without there being sound, that would be very odd. It wouldn't really feel right, you know?
Isn't that what you do when you turn on lights, though? Kind of.
If you had a stethoscope to the bulb, you probably would hear something, though.
Oh,
it's
sure.
Just very
fair. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Also, they do make white noise, so there is something there. We got Stargate opening. We made it to the part where things are happening.
Mm-hmm. And
Phoenix
very good. So Phoenixes are great on this map because the map is so large, and Phoenixes are just about, if not the fastest, most mobile unit in the game. I mean, Circlings are technically faster, but they can actually, they actually have to walk, so pathing will interrupt them. If they were to race on most maps, Phoenixes would win on every other occasion.
It really just depends on terrain and honestly whether there's creep spread, because the Zerglings benefit pretty heavily from that too.
It's kind of like Flash versus Superman, right? Like
It really just depends on the motivation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although we all know that the only time Superman's ever won, Flash let him. So, or it was an alternate timeline type situation.
Well, Flash can't fly, right? So I'm guessing if there's enough obstacles in his way,
but he
then
can
Superman
technically teleport through the Speed Force as well.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. There's like a whole arc where he literally crosses like a galaxy faster than a teleporter because of his ability.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 spores coming up here for Namshar and ShoWTimE blocking at the front. This is the type of map where you just defend the one ramp and then you'll be safe on all 3 of your bases. So both players are going to be looking to take advantage of this feature as Namshar quickly spreads creep over to the front of his base.
Yeah. You want to know one of my favorite things about the larva skin Namshar's using? Can you guess? It's the only skin that, well, there's really only one larva skin, but it changes the color of the eggs on the hatch. Because no matter what skins you use, if you don't have that larva skin, the eggs on the hatchery are always green when the queens inject them. But it matches the player color if you have the mecha larva on.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know a lot of things about these war chests, Nate.
I make it my business to know these things, cats.
Yeah. 3 oracles though. No phoenix openers other than, or just the one phoenix to clear the overlords, and then we're gonna see 3 oracles headed over to the 3rd base of Namshar where there is a spore, so I'm not sure that they're gonna be able to accomplish too much.
Could be a Highlander situation. You know, you talked about beating stats. Well, perhaps took the disembodied head and stole that 3 oracle build, and perhaps he might find himself a victor with that. So let's see. They are going to come in, grabs immediately a few drones. One of the oracles gets hurt quite a bit, but that's the power of having 3 of them. He's got a lot to work with. You do not want to lose them, though. Oof.
Yeah, at least forces an additional spore here and there, so it's not the worst thing ever for ShoWTimE, who is just trailing behind a single worker.
7 drones for an oracle. You down with that, Paulo?
I'm down for this. I mean, he's gonna find an additional 4 to 5 drones at the very least on Namshar. Microing the wrong way there for just a second.
Dude, he's killing so many drones.
Yeah, this is a lot. That's painful. Great job by ShoWTimE recognizing that there was no circlings available at own location. That's not a completely easy thing to do. You have to actually be paying attention to the adept shades and how much attention you've diverted from your opponent, so very well done. He will be pushing out with this Immortal Sentry. I'm not sure how much I like it. I don't like it now.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, he just killed, he pretty much just killed his own sentries there.
Yeah, but I was already not liking it, is my point, okay? That is not what you want if you are ShoWTimE.
You wouldn't super like this move out?
I would not have liked this move out. I mean, maybe to force out some units if you're well aware of your opponent's positioning, if you know that there's an Overlord that will spot your army or a Zergling to clear out at the front. But pushing this far out when you just did so much economical damage and you already have your 3rd seems a little bit overkill for me.
Yeah, he did just lose. I think it was 3 or 4 sentries there, so
Those
quite
are expensive,
significant.
yeah.
And that coupled with the loss of the energy on the other sentries, if you wanted to move out even just a little bit later, it's still going to be really hard to do.
Yeah.
2 oracles cruising on back over towards the main base. One of them is barely holding on. And
that was
gonna be
not the
able to
recall.
recall.
Yeah. That was not the best recall either for ShoWTimE. He could have definitely been safer. And look, he wants to take this 4th, right? So he would feel so much happier. He wouldn't have needed this sellout warping potentially if he had just kept his sentries. And I really didn't get it. I really didn't understand the move out, right? Like, what was he hoping to accomplish?
Maybe he wanted to like gut check a 4th, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I thought the Adept or the Oracle saw that there were links coming out. Meh.
Yeah.
I mean,
well.
even if he just reacted faster, he could have just force fielded Donut around all the sentries and at least kept them alive. But
Yeah, I mean, to Namshar's credit on that regard, he came from a high ground, so there was the least bit of time that you could have, like, less than.
it was as bad as it could have been.
Yeah, 1/5 of a screen instead of the full screen to realize that your opponent's army is coming at you. So once the links get on those sentries and there's too much surface area on them, then they're just dead.
Completely clears out the middle mineral patches. But
Little overkill.
Namshar is going to go for a pretty cool tactic that we see, I'd say fairly regularly these days from Zergs. He's going to get the Swarm Host.
Oh, nice transfuse.
Looking for a Nidus next with this.
Yeah,
Mobility.
Very nice. And I kind of really like this for Namshar. I mean, with clearing those minerals in the middle of the map, the Swarm Hosts are not going to have too much of not too big a travel time. So the problem, or the thing that I'd be scared for Namshar here, is if one of these waves does nothing, and if ShoWTimE decides to move after. Now, ShoWTimE is just cleared everything with Storm. He's invested a lot of Storm. I wouldn't be surprised if he just morphed some Archons and moved across, because he can't continue to do that. It's not sustainable to just keep storming the Locust waves over and over, because then you're just out of energy, and the Locusts are not gonna, or the Stormers are not gonna run out of energy. Now, the other option that ShoWTimE has is Storm until you're nearly maxed, because then, Swarm Hosts will lose a lot of their power, and if you have enough Archons and you can get rid of these Locusts, you can easily push through them, as Swarm Hosts will be essentially dead supply.
Yep. Locusts are back with the Roach Ravager. Some of the reinforcing ones have already burned through their Locust wave. Does hit one of the Immortals, by the way, with that Bile, so the barrier will be on cooldown. And he says, you know what, I'm just going to right-click on your Nexus with these Locusts rather than fight your army. And he might be able to get that. The Zealots do warp in, as we see. It's free real estate for Namshar. Locusts are good.
They're really good. Wow. That is actually huge, and that's going to put a lot of pressure onto ShoWTimE to do something. This warping could do it. Charge lots will not. Oh, there they charge. So this is pretty nice. It's going to pull a lot of the army back for Namshar, and this is ShoWTimE's opportunity to move onto the middle of the map. A lot of Storm available still, but not very much units otherwise, Nate.
Yeah, those High Templar are quite a bit exposed. Kills his own Observer with the Storm, which actually makes it hard to push forward on the creep. He's going to warp in more Zealots into that 3rd base location. He is rebuilding the Nexus of the 3rd.
Yeah.
It's the Queen.
Namshar still with very good creep spread through the middle of the map, still with the Swarm Hosts. I would love to see some static defense just so that he has somewhere to fall back to. Because right now, if he loses one of these engagements, he's going to get pushed back to his 4th and then potentially lose the 4th, and that'll be the momentum shifting moment of the game if ShoWTimE is to find one.
He's going to land this wave on the Stalkers.
Good Storms.
Yep, Storm's just clearing them out, keeping the base safe. But you make a good point. Storms don't last forever, and they are not... there's no infinite ammo bandana in this game that the High Templar can put on to shoot Storms forever.
Indeed. So we'll see. He has to take one of these openings, right after the Locust. So we have to just watch and see when ShoWTimE decides to move out. It might just be a matter of getting maxed or getting closer to max for him, as he has to anticipate his opponent is maxed. And with that very inefficient army, so far as supply is concerned, right? There's such a thing as cost efficiency, and then there's supply efficiency. So this army, if you look at the supply, it's not the most enticing.
Yeah, but the big thing about the Swarm Hosts in this situation too is he's trying to get up to the Greater Spire,
So the Locust Waves, you really just want to push the Protoss back far enough that by the time they reach one of your bases, you have another wave, and then ideally...
Or the static defense, right, that we were talking about. Yeah.
And ideally, you also be able to get the Templar energy out so that they can't deal with the wave as effectively as the next one. So he doesn't have storms anymore with this army, so
Yeah.
the Locust Wave
he's
comes.
gonna lose a couple of Archons on the retreat as well.
And that's really bad, because the Archons splash is one of the few things that can help clear the Locust off the army in the first place.
Yeah, and the Immortals could have really turned around and fought this army. The problem for ShoWTimE is he's on a timer and he knows it, because when the next Locust Wave shows up, it's gonna be it could become problematic. So here is the next charge lots showing up, and they're gonna be trading pretty cost efficiently. He actually retreats them. That was an F2 move. Otherwise, a couple more of those Ravagers would have died.
Yep. All right, picks up the Stalkers. He clears out that Locust Wave, and he needs to do something right now. He does not have anything set up for a transition out of this army composition, and Broodlords would be a huge pain in the side for him.
This is a great opening for him, though. Those very expensive units, the Ravager, and there is no Locusts on cooldown. And now he wishes, look at, like, it would be so nice to just have some semblance of static defense here. And right now, Namshar has played a fantastic game, but he's been caught with his pants down. Look at his army. Like, he's near maxed, but he has no fighting units until these Locusts show up.
Yeah, a lot of supply in the Corruptors and the Swarm Hosts, but neither of those are going to be able to fight on their own, and as soon as this Locust Wave is cleared up, ShoWTimE's army is still fine. GG.
And I'm not sure. What were those Corruptors even doing? I'm really...
He got the Greater Spire, but he just didn't... He was trying to squeeze in a few Broodlords, but he never got there.
Yeah, that's really rough. I think Namshar played a fantastic game. It was his to lose. He traded very efficiently. He got the pickoff with the Locusts onto that base. He had a good creep highway leading up to ShoWTimE, who was essentially wasting storms, kills a couple of the Archons on the retreat. I mean, everything was going great for him, but he just didn't have an anchor in the shape of static defense. It takes the risk to go for Broodlords, and ShoWTimE capitalizes.
Yeah, I think the great point there is just didn't really have like a good anchor setup. ShoWTimE did do a great job of getting damage done at the start of the game, I'll say. I mean, they're really good. The Oracles, he lost 2 of them, which is like, you know...
But the 2 Adepts.
The 2 Adepts, adding on to that with, what was it, like 6 or so drones that
they did fantastic, yeah.
That on top of the Oracles was really nice. If he keeps those 3 Oracles alive and he gets more value out of them, you know, that's one of the big things about, like, when we talk about Stats, who's brought this build back to the forefront. The Stasis Wards and all that, like, he was able to use the Oracles very efficiently without taking damage on them, and I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Maybe if ShoWTimE keeps those Oracles alive, we could see some cool Stasis traps on workers.
Absolutely. I mean, ShoWTimE, one of the best players in Europe, maybe in the world, so not the best game, honestly, to start from either player. I think that Namshar was playing great, then, you know, messed up a little bit, but ShoWTimE with quite a few missteps as well, especially the move out with the sentries, and just later on, he did take the one window to capitalize. And we've seen that the strongest players in Europe or in the world in general, they know how to do this. We saw it from Raynor just a couple of days ago, right? Like, it's like he's kind of losing the entire game, but as soon as he's given an opening, he knows when to capitalize. He knows when to take it. And it's that killer instinct that will take the lead for ShoWTimE here.
Yep. Really big kudos to ShoWTimE taking advantage of the opportunity to punch through the Locust Wave, as that is such a dangerous, scary decision to make. We're loaded in for map number 2 on Kairos Junction. On the top left, we have the red Zerg player. He is Namshar.
And on the bottom right-hand side of the map, the blue Protoss player playing for Makers, it is ShoWTimE.
ShoWTimE.
Daimauer. What's Daimauer mean?
Daimauer the wall.
The wall. Nice. Nice. Here's the wall.
You try to run away.
Why is it that that Protoss got all the cool nicknames, and like the Stats is the shield of fire, right? And the wall. It's like if you play macro as a Protoss, you get a nickname. Is that you get a cool nickname for being special?
Didn't Rain have a nickname too?
He must have.
Yeah. He had a whole thing. Because they're like, we found a Protoss player that doesn't hate every game. It's like, well, what about Protoss players that were aggressive? Did they have nicknames? It's like, no, Hawk didn't have a nickname. He hated every game. It's like, eh. Naniwa had a few nicknames we probably can't say on stream. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. Well, you know, it's very honorable to not all in your opponent every game.
Yeah,
At least if you go off of.
It'll get
what
you a
will get
nickname,
you-
you know. Pick Protoss, don't all in, get a really cool nickname. One of the best
you
that
go.
they have to offer it.
The real. Why doesn't. Is Neeb too aggressive then? That he doesn't get a nickname?
Neeb. Does Neeb not have a nickname?
I feel like we pretty much just go by Neeb.
Yeah, you just yell his. Yeah, you just add a few.
Maybe the problem is his name is very yellable.
Yeah.
That might be the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, you can just add a bunch of Neebs.
ShoWTimE's good, but you can get a big German crowd shouting D-Mauer.
Yeah.
That honestly, that gets the adrenaline going.
So yeah, nothing too crazy here yet again. We're gonna see a fast-ish speed by Namshar, who's actually just mining the gas very slowly, so choosing to saturate his mineral line over the gas. And you might be wondering, why does he take the gas then so early? And the reason for that is because he's pursuing that optimal saturation earlier when the hatchery at the natural isn't done. And so because there is no hatch to transfer, he prefers to start mining the gas with a couple of drones in the meanwhile, so that, you know, they're mining efficiently.
Efficiency, very important, very good. Usually we make that joke about Germans, but Namshar doing the Zerg thing. We do have the Stargate finishing up soon. And I guess it'll be, what, Phoenix first and then 3 Oracles? Wants to get into the Overlords first this time? Maybe?
I'm not sure. It's I'm not sure what you... I mean, different Protoss players will do different things. None of them will do nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a Phoenix first indeed. I think that it has different advantages, pros and cons, right? If you make the Oracle faster, then the Zerg is forced to invest faster into those spores. If you make the Phoenix faster, then you have the guaranteed damage of killing the Overlord and potentially just denying a little bit more vision, whilst following up with probably Oracles anyway.
Aye.
Now, one thing that I'm not sure I like is that Namshar didn't really stick around to check what unit was being made. And so, he's still not prepared for the Oracle completely. But had this been an Oracle, the spores would be a little bit late, actually. Right? So he should have dropped those spores potentially just a tad earlier.
But Cats, is this just the Great Debate, though? He's getting Resonating Glaives. The 2 gases in the natural.
It is the Great Debate, actually.
Because I feel like this could be like just a super mega double deluxe Adept all-in.
I mean, it's not going to be an Adept all-in, but it is going to be deluxe, and it is going to be a very strong timing here because...
Does this order come with fries by default, or do you have to add them on?
No, it comes with cheese, though. No chili.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like hot cheese sauce?
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, this is great. This is one of the strengths of Protoss, is as a race, by design, misleading, hiding information. It is the race of the snake, but not in...
Look how many Zerglings he had spread out, by the way. That mini-map, it's collapsing now, but he did have a lot of vision. However, Roach Warren is only halfway done.
Yeah, 8 links in production. Like I said, like this is going to be so difficult to account for because you see a Stargate, you expect production from the Stargate. If you expect production from the Stargate, then you know where their investment is. Well, their investment is elsewhere, but the Adepts are a little bit shy. And I'm not so sure how much I like that.
He's Evo walling it off so that the Adepts can't get in, which is smart.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. So that's what must have happened in the first shading as well. There is a 3rd base that he could have walked to, though. Yet still, the Evo wall-off is an investment. Very good reaction by Namshar in doing that. Now there's a lot of Zerglings, but they don't really trade well against these Adepts up until the Roach. Oh, you don't want to be targeting the Queen!
Queen.
That's a little bonkas. I mean, these Adepts are so adept at killing Zerglings. Not so much at killing Queens. Very nice block with the Roaches. Again, wow! Look at Namshar!
ShoWTimE just got dunked on.
He really did, but I mean, that was all Namshar, right? There's not much that you can do when your opponent blocks that well and is so conscious of the potential pathings that you can utilize. Very well done by Namshar there.
If that first or second shade had gone towards the 3rd, I think we get a little bit of a different game here. But
absolutely.
He spent so much time trying to get into the natural, and then the first shade he went up to the non-existent 4th.
Yeah. Now we have a similar move out to last game's.
It's got
a
a
little
lot
bit
of sentries. Got 2 immortals this time.
Yeah, this is not nearly as open a map either. So
and we're gonna have a prism come out behind it with a full wall off. So do expect to see it be a big Adept Immortal Sentry all in is what it looks like.
Yeah, and wow, the Cybercore is actually gonna fall. That is pretty big.
You need that to build Adepts for your all in.
To build just about anything, and he's remaking it kind of late. Mind you, he doesn't have charge, so Zealots are not a unit that you want to warp in by any means right now against Roaches. Good force fields, however. Very good force fields.
Yeah, okay, so that's not too bad there. I'm wondering where this prism is. It's lagging behind a little.
Yeah, force fields have run out now. There's
Look how much
Roaches
money he
production.
has, though. Like, he can't really reinforce this the way he wants. He's warping in 8 slow Zealots!
That is no bueno for him. And one thing that Namshar did do, because I was thinking those links, either they go for a counterattack or they deny the third, right? So when the links go for the counterattack, I think the third potential is there for ShoWTimE. And maybe that's what he should be considering right now, because slow Zealots are a little bit sketchy. Now, if you get good enough force fields, then it won't matter too much, because they will close the distance. But if not, then those Zealots are going to get kited forever.
Yeah, at worst, they are still fodder.
Yeah. But the problem is the Zealots, like when you engage with the Zealots, they'll run forward, the rest of your army won't. And so if you just kite the Zealots backwards and ignore the rest of the army, let them put some damage onto the hatchery or something like that, you'll just get rid of the Zealots for free. And it's just time that you're wasting, essentially. You can't chase through with those Zealots with the rest of your army very easily.
Wow, that's save on the Immortal.
Very nice, but it speaks to Namshar's position in this game, the fact that he's pushing as far as he is. Now, there is a little bit of a counterattack. Very well done by ShoWTimE. That's going to make it so that Namshar has to go and defend against these Adepts. A little bit of an overreaction from Namshar, not quite realizing. I mean, I didn't either, looking at the minimap, so very difficult to judge. But this was a pretty small attack, pulls the entire army back. A few inefficient trades in the meanwhile.
And now it's going to just be the Observer show. While he gets a second robotics facility and a RoboBay.
Indeed. Very good job at denying the fourth base, but he is in such a difficult position, ShoWTimE. Now, he was in a difficult position last game, but nowhere near as difficult as this one. Lots of Adepts being made, and Adepts are not particularly good against Roaches either. The Immortal count has paid. Oh, it's about. Oh, please don't. Okay. Has been stalled, I suppose. There hasn't been many Immortals in production, and I love this. Disruptors, right? When you're really behind, you need a unit that will offer you that potential. You were just talking about this yesterday, Nate. You want to make units that have high risk, high reward. Disruptor is that kind of unit. It may not do any damage, but it may also kill half of your army in one shot, and that's kind of what you need right now.
Yeah, it's not a good option, but it is the best option.
Exactly. That is very well put. It is not a consistent, reliable option. Oh, no! Oh, that is very uncharacteristic. Yeah, very easily. And he whips too. I mean, that's go time for Namshar, if you ask me. I would love Ling reinforcements right now. He's continuing to reinforce with Roaches. He has Ling speed available. Now, Lings build considerably faster than Roaches, and it is so important to keep the momentum for this army. Also, there isn't much buffer, and Lings are also considerably faster than Roaches. So the Roaches are popping out, but the Lings would have, the Lings would have already been here a while ago.
Did a really good job with dodging a lot of the Disruptor shots.
He has done a good job indeed, yeah. There's another Disruptor coming out, though.
Two more popping out.
Yeah, these ones are going to be really important. Namshar needs to capitalize on this timing if he can do it. And very good job once again. And another, I mean, ShoWTimE, I feel like he's not waiting enough for Namshar to commit, or maybe he's just that good that he knows when the next Disruptor shot will be available to him. Oh no, the warp entrapping his own balls.
No, that's not good. And now the Disruptors are mostly dead. GG. Namshar ties up our first series, one apiece.
Yeah.
I mean, the big things to take away. First of all, great job blocking the natural with the evolution chamber. But ShoWTimE, he comes up, the base is here, his army's here, and he sends the Shades here looking for a base. There's nothing to find. If he goes down to the third, that's before the Lings are out, the Roach Horn's not done yet, maybe he's able to do some damage.
And you have a Phoenix as well that could have very easily told you where's what, right?
Yeah.
So those Adepts, really, the second time going into the same location, if the first one didn't work, then the second time he's going to be more ready for it, right? Like you are a good player as Namshar, you're going to expect that there's another Shade ready. do the exact same move, and yeah, that didn't do anything.
And even then, he still went around to get to the third. He didn't even shade to the third from outside the natural, and it took so long by the time he even got there. Then he's like, all right, now I'll shade to the natural from the third. And there's roaches there.
Yeah, and then you lose the cyber core. Great job once again by Namshar and capitalizing on that opening, right? Your army is out, I have enough links. You either have to warp in a lot of units back here, or I'll kill the cyber core. Gets the cyber core as ShoWTimE has no warp ins available. And from then on, I think if you're ShoWTimE, you say, well, I have no cyber core. And I have, what, Glaive Adepts. I don't have charge. Therefore, Zealots are completely worthless.
And he warps in 8 Zealots anyway, too.
Right. And that's, I mean, that's
all died.
very difficult to make
Zealots
work.
all died for nothing, so.
So.
It's a tough spot to be in. Really, I think that right click on the cyber core, really smart. Because he warps in three Adepts to try and save it. And you'd think like, oh, 3 Glaive Adepts, that should save my core. But not when you have that much surface area around.
Exactly. That's a very good point to make as well. So,
King's Cove for the deciding map.
Indeed. Very difficult decision to make not to warp in those Zealots, right? Because in your mind, if you're the player there, you've already kind of decided what you're doing. You've decided I'm moving out. I'm trying to apply some pressure.
Your 2 base Protoss with 8 gateways, and you walled yourself out of your home base.
And that wasn't that many circlings either, right? It was...
No.
Yeah. So, because you could make an argument for, say, oh, he wasted so many circlings that my attack should be so much stronger, but it really wasn't. He wasted so many circlings that your third was wide open.
I think part of it as well was just that he warped in the Adepts one at a time. Like, he didn't realize the imminent threat to the core until it got really low, and then he warped in the third, and it was like, nope, wait, too late.
No way, Jose.
This guy did a good job of tying it up, though, in the bottom right. The red Zerg. He is Namshar.
Could have won this 2-0, honestly.
Yep.
And in the top left-hand side, it is ShoWTimE. Looking for some redemption here. Not playing his best today, and he is absolutely one of the best players in the world. So let's see if he can live up to that name, to that standard.
So, I mean, calling someone the wall, right? You could make the argument, very obvious one, that it's like meant to be an impenetrable wall, right? Like, oh, I protect the people, they can't get to me. But I also think of it as he could be like a wall, like in like the like Star Wars trash compactor style, where people get trapped and then the wall closes in on them, and squishes them like a pancake as well.
Yeah, that certainly could be the type of wall. I thought you were gonna make allusion to the surface area that he left on his wall for that last game. Because that wasn't the best wall, really, or maybe it was, but it wasn't. Like you said, he didn't respect the threat.
It's a funny thing to think about, though, because you think about a wall and you're like, oh yeah, a really big wall, like, oh, you can block so much. But then you're like, well, if you think about it, if your wall was instead like put in like the hot gates in like 300, you would have a small wall, but it would be much more impactful to block off that small space. And
absolutely.
Better question becomes, why are we building these big walls when we should all just live in mountains where no one can reach us?
Yeah.
And that's how Pennsylvania was founded.
You are from Scranton. Did you ever? Was The Office actually recorded in?
No.
Oh.
It's actually here. If you
really?
Yeah, like Van Nuys, North Hollywood. Yeah. That's where all of it is.
Do they do a good job of depicting the city?
No. The real city is so much more boring than even the TV show.
Really? Oh,
except we have better nature.
I mean, that was
everything nature-wise is much better in real life.
Okay.
We have beautiful forests, and the lake is gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
You can't drive on it. There's no houses by it. It's a reservoir. It's beautiful.
And this is going to be the third time around that ShoWTimE is going for that Stargate build. So we'll see what he chooses to do. He's opted to go for a Phoenix every time.
I don't mind that he did in game 1, like the build that makes the most sense, which is like the Phoenix and the 3 Oracle, because a lot of Protoss players are doing that now, and it's becoming a popular choice, and it is good. But at the same hand, going for the debate in the second game where, oh, hey, I'm going to show the same look that's going to be that fast Phoenix.
I loved it. Honestly, decision-wise, I liked it.
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
No, I'm saying I did like it, but it's one of those things that you need to be careful about too, because now, I mean, careful about for Namshar, because he needs to know whether, when he sees the Stargate this game, is it going to be a commitment Stargate, or is this,
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this a Stargate that leaves you on red?
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a Stargate, but it has been 2 shades of a Stargate so far, and so he should be wary of that fact.
Yeah.
Now, the Adept pushed a little bit further up so that there's a little bit less surface area this time around on the Cybercore, perhaps.
I think ShoWTimE was listening to your expert analysis, Paolo, because the Spore was late last game, but he did go Oracle first this time around. However,
The Spore is on time this time.
Namshar has gotten the Spore on time this time.
Indeed.
Not that that's ever stopped a good Protoss.
Often.
One drone for
Yeah, that's not
most
good.
of the health.
Yeah. The Adept did do a decent job at killing 2 drones, but it also died, so Namshar did a very good job of not really overreacting. He's only made 6 circlings so far. He's trailing behind in workers, but that's kind of normal for this stage of the game. So very well done by Namshar, and there's a second Oracle, and we could expect a third one going up. There is a Robo as well coming up. There's the third Oracle.
Nice. Well, one of the Oracles is very weak, as we've already kind of discussed, which could make that follow-up play more difficult if Namshar is on top of his target firing.
Absolutely. And Spores can also target fire, which a lot of people forget. So it's not just the queens that pose a threat, should Namshar be fast enough.
I feel like I've only really seen Cyril do like really good Spore Crawler target firing. But it's not something that you see enough of, is what I'm going to say. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
agree with you. It seems like not a lot of people know that.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely know.
Well,
but it is a very
take
difficult thing to
advantage
do,
of
right?
it,
Yeah,
in the moment, to recognize that you can do it
exactly. Yeah,
is a talent in and of itself.
yeah, and it takes a few actions too, right? And it's usually just the one Spore, so it kind of feels bad. Usually, if you have like 3 queens, that's more DPS anyway, and they can move and they can kite. There's a little bit more micro potential. The Spore is kind of just like while they're in range, so you have to be really on top of it.
So there's a 300 IQ play that lots of Protoss like to do, where they move the Phoenix in first so that the Spore Crawler starts shooting it. It also lifts up the Queen, and then the Oracles come in and they go for everything else. And you can see, does get, I don't know that it was target fire, but does get the weakened Oracle eventually.
I think
Shots
that
were
was
quite spread out.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a misposition, I think, by ShoWTimE. I mean, correct in the fact that the weakest Oracle was in the back.
Right.
But when he turned around kind of to target fire, or as he was running out, it also remained in the back, and so it was the last target for the Spore to keep fighting. So I think that was
like
just...
these move outs, man.
Yeah, I really don't mind him so long as he's staying on top of it and he's aware. Like, he has the Oracles this time. He's not gonna get caught in the middle of the map by random circlings this time around. It's much bigger than the first time around, and it's the kind of thing that I like, because you can just recall. You can just apply. This is what you were saying last time, right? Maybe he was looking to keep that 4th in check. So, very nice force fields.
Oh, sentries. All 3 sentries get hit by a bile. That just makes me nervous. Big Stalker weapon, though, so once they commit to the attack, Prism is still alive. Getting this 4th would be really sweet, since the 3rd is slowly starting to saturate for ShoWTimE. And I love the Oracle coming back, too.
Yeah, I love it as well. And yeah, he's gonna get this 4th. It looks like Namshar really doesn't like circlings, by the way. It's just not a thing that he likes reinforcing with, it
He was
seems.
scarred by the mass.
Adepts.
Adepts last game, he's like, well, Zerglings weren't particularly useful that game, so.
Yeah. But a lot of the time, you know, like for reinforcements, I feel like they're just so much better than most units in almost every situation, because it's so important to keep the momentum of the fights. And I feel like, you know, you reinforce with roaches, they're going to take almost twice as long to cross the map. All right, so let's see what he's able to do here on the counter offense. I mean, that was a great move out by ShoWTimE this time around. Yes, he gets biled a little bit. But on the back, he was getting a Forge. He is now started +1, and he also started Charge as his Twilight Council finished. So by no means was that a committed attack. Just the 2 roaches with those force shields.
Charge and +1 on the way. Very important upgrades. Baneling Nest finishing for Namshar. And he's going to load up, I think those are Zealots. Head towards the main or the natural.
Yeah.
This map is really nice like that, because you can get around the outside and hit any of the bases if you really want to. Sees the Infestation Pit with the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Hopefully he actually sees it, but yeah.
Likely to be for Swarm Host yet again. He's gonna really want to focus on that creep spread if he wants to go for the Swarm Hosts. And I mean, this is good for Namshar if he's going for Swarm Host, that ShoWTimE is taking this forward base, as Swarm Hosts do not like stepping off creep.
Yeah. What do you think about the Nidus? He didn't go for it the first time because he mined out the middle on Thunderbird, but maybe with the way the creep is this game, maybe throwing a cheeky Nidus would be better for getting around the outsides.
Yeah, I think I'd like that a lot. I mean, there's pretty widespread bases so far as the natural and the third are concerned. There's a big stretch of land in between, so Nidus is on either side or on both sides. Just, you know, to juggle between would be great.
Queen tries to focus fire down onto the Prism. Not going to be able to get the kill. And the Zealots clean up some lanes, but doesn't lose any queens.
Pulls the entire army back. Creep spread still.
Seeing the hive timing is nice, though.
Indeed. And it looks like Namshar is going to try to get to Broodlords very fast here, as the Spire is timed to finish around the same time as the hive. So Greater Spire very likely to start right away as that finishes. We haven't seen Swarmhost in production this time around, so it will be the Brutes. And that is a good choice, like say on Thunderbird. We talked about this yesterday as well. It's very difficult to go for Broodlords because it's such a big map. This map, not so many attack paths, a little bit chokier, so and a lot of cliffs as well where Broodlords will thrive, right? So I like this decision so long as he's able to hold, and his plan to hold, I think, is to have the potential to morph a lot of Banes. So if ShoWTimE was to move out, instead of making a lot of units, he can just morph a lot of Banelings. That's going to be really fast, really efficient, and it's going to be very difficult to push into. And there's the Banelings being morphed, right? So he's basically saying, yes, I'm going Broodlords, but I also have this backup plan where you don't want to be pushing onto creep because this is going to happen. But this is a warping indeed.
Yep, a Greater Spire that you were talking about, Cats. It is on the way, but big number of Zealots going to be able to get into the main base. The Zerglings are going to come over and fight against this. They both have +1 attacks.
Don't want to pull your entire army, though. This is a little bit of a mistake by Namshar. At the same time, very nice Baneling detonations onto the entire probe line.
If he had +2 Bader, I think every single probe that dies of this expansion does get with the main army that base in the southwest.
Yeah.
So that's quite nice.
Yeah, ShoWTimE not quite able to get into a very, very good position, but he gets into a good enough position to just take the 5th. I think that at this point, oh, that was a lot of Banelings to use. Are they gonna find some connections? Not really, though ShoWTimE is out of Storm for the most part. He has one more. Nope.
Yeah, Mortals all dying though.
Yeah,
not
this is
good.
no
Namshar
bueno.
getting on top of this army. Don't forget, Big Daddy Broodlords are on the way behind this. And,
this is looking scary, man.
Tempests
Oh,
are
no.
already being
Oh,
built.
no.
Goodbye, Prism.
Yeah, Tempests are being built indeed, but man, the economy for ShoWTimE, is this sustainable? I'm not sure.
It's
I
4
mean,
bases versus 4. I mean, I think killing the expansion like maybe opens up an opportunity here. He did lose probes, but he's got 76. Like,
You're right, my God.
I'm willing to believe. If it's on, since it's even base count, I'm willing to believe.
Yeah, look at this though. There's a lot of Templars with Storm indeed. So I guess, yeah, I guess he could hold. He could hold. There's
It's
some,
always going to be hard to attack off creep, I think.
Absolutely, and the creep threat hasn't been nearly as good as last game. Like we've kind of seen it stalled here for the most part for a little while. It looks like ShoWTimE killed an important creep tumor at some points, and the Queens haven't gotten to remaking it. So that is indeed very important because the army will have to fight off creep if they want to follow the Broodlords onto that 4th base.
Yeah, I think things to look out for maybe like if he's able to get some Vipers in and use Corruptors, but Namshar is not exactly swimming in money either. He's going to throw up a lot of Spine Crawlers, so he's trying to get that anchor that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Most of them are going up by, just trying to see. Yeah, 3 spines in the main, 3 spines by his 3rd. Pretty conservative with them actually. So maybe he's thinking more about the Prism and a base trade possibility than anything else.
Yeah, I mean the Broodlords are such slow units that when you're committed, you're kind of committed to it. And if your opponent goes for some counterattack or a Warp Prism, which is essentially a Protoss army, then you know you want this spores or this spines to allow your Zerglings at least to run by or run back and do their thing. The Broodlords are revealed, but ShoWTimE was well aware of that. Oh, nice.
That's a huge pickup.
Yeah, very nice. And that's going to be another Warp Prism that's going to need to be produced. Otherwise, Namshar can just kind of breathe a little bit easier.
ShoWTimE's maxed out. He's got Storm, he's got Zealots, Archons, and enough Tempests. 9 Broodlords versus 6 Tempests. And the 6 Tempests, I do believe, can one-shot these Broodlords pretty effectively if he can get in range. So he needs to be worried about... I don't think there's enough Infestors to infest a Terran Bomb this.
Very good fungals, though. Identifying that the units are clumped as well. Not just the Tempest Tempest, which have nearly no unit collision, but also the
biles onto
Zealots.
the Tempest.
Beautiful!
Wow, the biles. I wasn't even thinking about the Ravagers against the Tempest. That's
Yeah.
the normal interaction that I have to consider, but
Yeah.
the Air Force completely obliterated here by Namshar.
Yeah, very, very nice by Namshar indeed. I mean, those fungals were just so great because the Zealots are such small units that they're all clumped up. Pretty much the entire army of ShoWTimE is clumped up. And the Tempest as well, right? On top of everything else. So you couldn't get better fungals, identifies that he does, and goes for those biles. Wow, Namshar just cleaning up.
Yeah, that one Tempest, by the way. Just yeeting at these Brood Lords all on his own. But you know that
5 kills.
oh wow. He doesn't want to try and do it with the infestors here.
Yeah.
That's just funny to watch. Now the Corruptor comes back and he's like, all right, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's not the Ferrari Tempest of old.
Oh, thank God.
Of legend. Legend told of the Tempest that could cross the map in 12 seconds.
Indeed.
Those were the dark days.
Yeah, there's no neuroparasite, somewhat surprisingly, but I guess if there's no Broodlords, there's no urgent need for it. Very nice. Nice. Wow.
And canceled one with those Stalkers. I mean, you get fungled there, every single Stalker is instantly
That was a
dead.
risky move for sure.
Well, I mean, as time goes by, so Namshar did get a 5th again established, but there's not really, he's only just now put drones on it. So he's not exactly swimming in money either. I don't know. ShoWTime's done a good job of bringing this game back.
He has. I mean, I feel like Namshar had an opportunity to maybe capitalize on killing the entire army of ShoWTimE. But ShoWTimE has just had such a great economy. He always has Templars in the back ready to go. And these Stalkers, I mean, that was a risky move, but he was a little bit behind. So when you are behind, if you identify your opponent's army is elsewhere, oh, very nice Storm, deceptively nice, because it'll kill more Zerglings than
good Archon morphs there.
Than Stalkers indeed. And I mean, Neuroparasite, a couple of times where the Tempests are really far forward and deserve to be Neuroparasited here. And I think ShoWTimE just knows that there's no Neuroparasite in play, and that's why he's being as offensive with those. So, yeah, decent fungals.
Not too shabby. I mean, it's +3 attack, Adrenal Gland Zerglings, so those guys are quite good even versus the Zealots. Infestation Pit would be a fun little pick-off.
Yeah.
Infestors have been a crucial component of this army.
Yeah, and they will continue to be. I mean, it's kind of the unit that's, at this point, the main anchor for the Zerg army. You kind of really need those. They're just good units because they do so many things, right? Especially if he does research that Neural Parasite. You have so many different options.
I'm still really surprised that he hasn't gone for Neural Parasite, right? We talk about what makes the Zerg army strong late game-wise. It's most people will say, you talk about Neural Parasite, but Infested Terrans are still really, really strong. And their attacks bypass the armor upgrades of enemy units, so they are able to get tons of damage in, which is important. Like Tempest by default have 2 armor, I think, so they're generally. It feels weird to say this. Am I about to say Tempest are sturdy? They don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of health, but the armor helps.
Yeah, I mean both of those spells are better against carriers, right? Than Tempests,
for sure.
And I think that's Namshar's reasoning here. Is the fungal is probably the most useful ability, but the versatility of being able to use all 3 spells is really important and a strength in itself. Again, there's been many times this game where there's an extra Tempest or 2 just way in the front.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, when the Mothership comes out, then that Neural Parasite is going to become super valuable again too.
That is true.
So wants to do an attack onto this base while he sends the rest of the army home. I think the Banelings should be able to get a good amount of work done on this worker line. There we go. +3 Banes. Oof, ouch, owie.
Oof, ouch, owie indeed. So temp probes will go down, but ShoWTimE has just had an economic lead, I want to say, for most of this game, even though he's the Protoss player. +3 air weapons coming up for Namshar, so has been keeping up on top of those upgrades really well. But is it even warranted? I guess it kind of is. Yeah, there's a few Corruptors out. And here's the Infestors looking for Fungal, because that's all they have to offer at the moment.
Only 7 Corruptors. Everything is really being put onto the Infestors to, I guess, Fungal. And you're going to need Infested Terrans, I think, to finish these off, though.
Quite possibly, yeah, and that's when the engagement happens and there's a little bit more committal. Perhaps we're gonna see those. I mean, there's been really good fungals by Namshar, and again, that's like, I think that it's fine to think that that's your best tool, but get a Neural Parasite. Like, look, if he had Burrow and Neural Parasite, he could flank those Tempests, grab them all, and yeah.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. Or at least try to take like 1 or 2 of the Archons, or do something that you could use to kill the High Templar. Like steal a High Templar and feed back all the other ones. I don't know.
Yeah, or Storm. Yeah. Yeah, very nice fungals though. And these very well upgraded Corruptors are actually going to clean up a lot of the Tempests as the Broodlords try to section off the rest of the army. So, well done by Namshar. I would love to see some focus fire onto the Templars, and I'll get that.
Yep. Once he gets through the Tempest, the Broodlords can kill everything on the ground here.
Yeah, and yet again he will be pushed back. I gotta say, this army composition by ShoWTimE, it's really not worked out for him. And he's got to switch it up to something else at this point, I feel like. An attempt at a recall there.
Wonder how much of that he's actually going to be able to save.
Yeah.
Big Mama shows up, though, to protect the army in the northeast.
And I think that if Namshar kills ShoWTimE for a 10th time this game, he may be able to close it out.
Will he, though?
I'm not sure.
Ooh, good Prism save on those Templar.
Yes, indeed. Oh, okay.
Did he get the, gets the morph? Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, Tempest, they serve that surgical role of trying to snipe off the Broodlords, but frankly speaking, in every other regard, they suck.
Yeah, they really do. They are quite bad, and he's been making a lot of those, and they are very supply. I don't know if I would say inefficient.
I would say inefficient.
Yeah, maybe so.
Tempest, they're not cheap. They serve a specific purpose, but they are not cheap for what you get there, especially since the health reduction, which was basically their way of being like, look, we don't want people massing the longest range unit in the game and just turtling behind 20 shield batteries, so that's why it's like this. I mean, if ShoWTimE was ever able to capitalize on his economy without throwing armies away,
yeah,
I don't think that going carriers, like, you don't really have a lot of great options as Protoss, in my opinion, in this phase of the game, but that's one of the reasons why you see people build carriers and die, because it's still better than Tempest.
Yeah, I mean, even ground forces would have been okay here because there's been so many infestors produced, so much Link Bane produced. Broodlord numbers have never been scary up until now. Right now, Namshar, I mean, if we look at the army value right now, ShoWTimE should stand no chance. And those are full energy infestors as well, so they may as well be 2 infestors each.
Yeah. And then if he ever does force a fight, yeah, you see preemptively just a few.
I love it.
The infested Terrans are amazingly powerful, and he's going to bet +2 attack for those infested Terrans.
Yeah, and the reason he's able to drop these infested Terrans freely here and he hasn't been doing that is because he's been on defense the entire time, but now that he's on offense, he's claiming this ground so that the Broodlords can take it. So he's basically saying, you want to fight, you're going to fight against infested Terrans. You don't want to fight, then I'll kill your base.
Yep. And those infested Terrans are just going to keep getting stronger and stronger as that +2 attack has now completed. Of course, the shield upgrades are not going to help against them. So more Tempests are going to come out, but
very conservative
very
approach here.
If he gets a wave of infested Terran down underneath those Tempests, they will all die pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, again, the army value is, it cannot be overstressed, but just now, I mean, I think that Namshar could have pushed and tried to close out the game a little bit more or even killed an extra base. He just feels comfortable with the one base, expanding himself and making more of those anchor spores and spines. Maybe he's very comfortable or confident in the late game, but okay, here we go. He's gonna try for another push here. Would love some more of those infested Terrans to shield for the Broodlords. Now the deceptive thing is also with the mothership, and ShoWTimE's army is starting to finally look somewhat scary, but with the mothership there is it is very difficult for the Zerg to know exactly like what they can and can't do. Ooh.
Those disruptors are, I mean, it's a YOLO idea, but if you can land the hits there, that's really big.
Yeah, but why shoot both at the same time, right? Like they're very difficult to control individually in the first place, but
it could have been panic, maybe, reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I might have taken that opportunity if I were Namshar as well, right? Like to drop a bunch of infested Terrans or something, and just continue to push. Now Disruptors, more Disruptors being added, a lot of Storm still available. I shouldn't say a lot.
Yeah, I think that's why you use the time warp though. The time warp, it's something that I feel like I'm kind of surprised we don't see used with the Neurals, but ooh, okay, gets a good chunk of infestors with that disruptor shot.
Yeah, very good fungos though in return.
Though. And there you see, there the infestors go.
Oh, and there's a recall. He's got to chase the rest of the army right now if you're Namshar. Oh, he just recalled to the mothership right there, huh?
Just tried to pull him a little bit out of harm's way, and well, harm is still there.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the infestor energy is gone, but the infested Terrans were still able to shoot from the back, and there were still the corruptors. So the Air Force, once again, annihilated. That Prism is going to die. The Oracle is going to die.
This has got to be it. There's nearly 4 times the amount of army here for Namshar in terms of just cost, right? Like raw power.
ShoWTimE didn't seem sure what he wanted to do to deal with this late game army. He was able to build up a good economy at one point, and spent a lot of money on Tempest that it's not really good. I don't know.
I mean, they didn't look good this game.
Yeah,
like,
they didn't
willing
look good
to be
in this
shown,
game.
Yeah. You know, ShoWTimE goes Tempest. I really want to see what he does. I'm sure if he went Tempest against me, he would make me look like a fool. But you know, Namshar really knows what to do there.
Yeah, as well. Of course, don't
very
take
well
anything
done
away from him. It's really hard to play against. I think once the Zerg player is able to secure those bases, because he got the spines and the spores up, and when, like we talked about it, when he got a bunch of them set up at the third and the main, once the threat of the Prism isn't as big, and then it's that big infestor broodlord with some corruptors, he didn't even get Vipers. He didn't build any Vipers this game, which could have made it even more painful.
Yeah, quite potentially. I mean, he didn't really have anything to pull army onto, if you think about it. There was no Hydras, just the corruptors that could chase stuff.
I guess he didn't really feel like he needed it,
but I think your main point is the most important thing here. The War Prism, the 200 mineral unit, is very, very important, especially against an army as immobile as the Broodlord Infestor.
Yep, multiple Prisms got shut down pretty well, but congratulations to Namshar. He moves on to the winner's match.
Very impressive, yeah.
At our schedule, as we've got another Protoss versus Zerg coming up. That's right. It's going to be the Flaming Lips going up against Rickard Mechanics Bergman. That's our next match here for WCS Europe. It is going to be Harstem versus Sort of. That's going to be coming up after the break, ladies and gentlemen, when we return. We'll see you on the other side.